Hi, I'm Deputy Mayor Tony Fiore.
And I'm Judith Vassallo, your tax collector here in town.
And today we're going to discuss understanding your tax bill. So what we decided to do is we get a lot of questions in the tax office and in the mayor's office about the tax bills when they come out every year about this time. So we decided to make a quick public service announcement to dig deeper into the tax bill so people can understand exactly how the tax bill works, how it's broken out, and where and how the township comes up with the tax rates. So Judy and I today are going to actually go through two different sample tax bills. One is going to be from Belford, which was last year in the garbage district and had garbage collection through their municipal taxes. And one is going to be from the other side of Route 35 in the Middletown Village section, which now is part of the garbage collection district. And what we hope to accomplish today is to give you a deeper understanding of how your tax bill works, how property valuations work in respect to your tax bill with the new county pilot program that we're now in year 5, I believe, right, Judy?
That's correct.
With our assessment program, and hopefully be able to answer some commonly asked questions so that you have a better understanding of how your property taxes work in Middletown going forward.
That's true. We do get many questions when you call in. Just even people get nervous when they look at their bill. They don't understand that right up here is your block and lot. That's the first thing that we reference when you call. Let us know what your block and lot is. We can pull your account up and look exactly at what's going on with payments and the billing information.
So let's start with what Judy started with, which is your block and lot. So if you start from the top left-hand corner of your tax bill, you're going to see your block number and your lot number. This is our identifier in the tax office, right, Judy?
That's correct.
As to what your property's identified as.
That is your tax parcel ID.
Right. You will see the name, the street address of your home and your property, a building description. So this is
It's a 2 single frame, 2-car garage. That's what that denotes.
Okay, and then underneath what your house is, you see your land dimensions. So this is the size of your property. You'll see that this property is 100 by 251, and it's an IRR, which I believe means irregular lot?
That's right. It's a somewhat irregular sized lot.
Yes. So that's a property description. Underneath, you're going to see the assessed value. And as I mentioned, and Judy mentioned, that we are in year 5 of what's called an annual assessment program. So if you remember, or you've been a taxpayer for quite a while here in Middletown, yes, you may remember that assessments and revaluations happen once about every 10 or 15 years in the past. So your value didn't necessarily change, but every 10 or 15 years you may have had a very big change in value of double or quadruple in terms of your building and assessment. Now the county and the state has put us in a pilot program, which now every year your neighborhood is looked at by comparable sales and a true market value, or what is best represented as what we believe is a true market value, correct?
That's correct.
Is now put in as your total value. So we chose this tax bill particularly because it is actually representative of the average assessment in the Township of Middletown of $422,000. So what that means is that the average home in Middletown, and I believe, Judy, we have about 25,000?
That's correct. We have about 25,000 line items.
Right, so 25,000 line items, which are generally mostly single-family homes or land. The average value is $422,000. In this property, it's made up of $243,000 is what the land value is assessed at, and $179,000 for the house, correct?
That's correct. That's called the improvement value.
So, important to note that last year's property tax bill for this homeowner may have had a value that was a little lower or potentially a little higher. And that's because of this annual reassessment program that gets done on a yearly basis. The average for Middletown, as I'm told from our tax assessor, it was up 1.68%. So that means the town as a whole, 42 square miles, 25,000 households, the town on a whole had a value rise of 1.68%. So Judy, why don't we explain what that actually does when the value rises or the value falls on the town as a whole?
Okay, as with the value rising the 1.68%, it means generally your assessed value, your home is definitely, hopefully, worth more. It's the market value. It's based on the different sales in the area. They go through the different markets and see what is the basic home going for. So when we do that with the assessed value, actually 20% of the township in a given year is visited by staff representing the town, looking at your home as a whole, seeing, is this what has been done? Is it the same from previous year's valuation? That is just 20% per year. So you will get a notice that someone will be looking at the house. They just come in, they look, they see everything is pretty much basically the same. You have 4 bedrooms, you have 2 bathrooms. That's really all they're looking at. Then the next year it could be a different section of town. Now we're in the 5th year, so this is our last 20% that are going through. We do get calls questioning us and saying, well, we got this notice. Is somebody allowed to come in? And we do recommend that you let these folks come in and take a look around. It's really to your benefit. It gives them a true value and to see what's going on. They're not looking to see what you have personally, just looking at the room. So going forward with that, at least it gives you a true market value of what your home is worth.
Right, and if you don't let them in, sometimes you have to go off of assumptions, and that can create a value that's either up or down, basically.
That is correct.
And that's the reason for the inspection, right?
Yes.
So the township, as we mentioned, went up 1.6%. So you'll hear a little bit more about that as we get into your explanation of taxes. So the first, if we move over to the right, the first, your explanation of taxes. Your first tax, it looks like it goes in alphabetical order, is your county tax. So this is the tax that's levied by the County of Monmouth, the Monmouth County Freeholder Board, and represents the all of the money that comes out of Middletown and every municipality that's in Monmouth County for parks, county roads, county programs, county services, everything that's done through Freehold, our county seat.
That's correct.
So first line is our county taxes. The second line is the district school budget. So important to note that as the municipality, as the township committee and the township government, Middletown Township has the responsibility to collect taxes not only for our budget, but also for the county and the school budget. They don't send out a separate tax bill.
That's correct.
So you'll see the second line item is your Middletown district school budget. Third line item is our municipal tax rate. Okay, so you'll see our municipal tax rate is everything that gets taken out with respect to the police, fire, administration, personnel, snow plowing, leaf collection, and about 30 other services, recreation that we
Recreation,
have, right?
yes, and there's, as you know, during the summer, the rec puts on a lot of different programs, a lot of picnics, beach parties, very nice movies in the park.
Right. So that's the municipal tax rate. This year, the municipal tax rate was a little bit confusing, and we're going to get into that a little bit further because this tax bill actually last year had garbage and recycling collected from their taxes. We're going to show you an example of another tax bill in Middletown Village that was paying for private garbage. It's all under the municipal tax. So your garbage collection is now under municipal tax. And what you would see, there was a letter that accompanies the tax bill. You'd actually see that the tax rate dropped a little bit, you know, for both sides of the equation. Whether you were paying, it actually would rise if you were paying it privately, and we'll show that in a few minutes. But it decreased for the 16,000 residents that
had municipal
garbage. So you'll see that kind of next year that will level out, and you won't see that type of.
Correct. That's and then we're going into here. We have our municipal open space.
Yes. So municipal open space is another tax that was passed, I believe, probably more than 20 years ago by the voters.
That's correct.
And that's a 2-cent tax that goes for open space purchases and acquisitions for inside of Middletown.
That's correct, for maintaining our open spaces and parks.
Right. And then you'll see the next line is a county open space tax, and that's something I want to spend a few moments on, because this line item actually will have a little bit of an impact to all taxpayers this year, and it may not be clear in the tax bill. Last year, if you remember, in the election, there was a ballot question asking for the voters to increase the county open space tax, almost doubling the tax from about a penny and a half to almost 3 cents. You'll see 0.28 here. When that happened, you will see that last year this number was probably half of what it shows this year. So this resident's seeing an increase based on the voters. I believe it was 58% approved in November. The voters of Monmouth County approved that, so you'll see this tax actually went up. Next year it stays this rate, so you won't see an additional jump.
Yes.
Right. And then finally, the municipal library tax, and that's a tax that comes out by state law based on the value of your house and the value of the township, and it's taken out at about 3 cents. I believe that's 3.3, a third of a penny, excuse me. It's a third of a penny that gets taken out for library services, our municipal library located on New Monmouth Road, and that is the library tax. But so these are the line items that Judy and her staff collect all for these entities, and then we have to send that money out. Now, I want to, what you'll see here, this is where things get a little bit confusing, and I know a lot of questions come to Judy's office, so I want to spend a little bit of time here on your total taxes here. So you see your 2018 total tax. This is what your tax bill is for 2018.
That's correct.
So we run on what's called a calendar year budget. A calendar year budget starts on January 1st and ends on December 31st. We send tax bills out because of the state requirements of approving tax bills and certifying tax bills. They come out in July, which is more towards what we would call a fiscal year, a July 1 to June 30 type of mentality.
And that's because the state has a fiscal budget.
Right.
So we have to wait for their budget to be approved before we get our certified rate to move forward. That's why you receive your final bill in July.
So this number here, you'll see this is your total tax rate. This is all of the taxes in town: schools, municipal, open space, library, county, all rolled up into one. You take this number, it gets multiplied by your assessed value and then divided by 100. You come up with this number and the total amount of tax. This is your 2018 tax bill. Where there usually tends to be some confusion, and I admit last week I made the same mistake, is when people will get their tax bill and they will add these items together. And I will show you in another example when we go to the Middletown Village example that adding three numbers together will actually be a larger number than this. And let me explain why. That's because the third quarter and the fourth quarter tax bill has to be added to the first and second quarter that you've already paid, either through your mortgage or directly to the tax office.
That's correct. That was your preliminary taxes.
Right. So that's one common mistake. You do not add all four of these together to find out what your new tax bill is. You will be wrong if you try to do that.
Yes, you will.
So let's go back for a second. And if you went back to the old bill last year, you would have saw one other line item I should mention, and you'll see what's called a garbage tax. You would see a line item that says garbage tax. That's now part of municipal. But this bill here, as I mentioned, is a average homeowner, $422,000, broken up a little bit differently in terms of their land and everything else. But this homeowner last year did not have a dedicated garbage tax. So it was all part, and everything is part and parcel to their municipal taxes. What you would ultimately see is that the garbage collection is now part of this tax. So this rate may have been a little bit lower last year, actually was a little bit lower for them.
That's correct.
Because they were paying privately. I was one of those people.
Right. Now, if you had a garbage tax, it would have been a separate line under the municipal library tax, and it would have said garbage tax, and it would have referenced the rate of, actually last year, 0.065 was the garbage rate in 2017. And it would have given you an additional amount here, so people paying for municipal garbage did have a higher rate.
Right. So you see here 2.167, same rate for everybody now. Doesn't matter where you live in town, so we're all under one rate. But again, if you were to add these numbers up, and I just did it really quickly, you would see these numbers would be several $100s more than this number.
That's
and
correct.
That would be
that's
incorrect.
And that's where you do figure it looks like your taxes have increased even more, and it's not correct because the preliminary tax is based on 2018's tax rate. So you're basically underpaying in 2019 because we don't have the 2019 tax rate.
Right.
We all catch up with the July billing.
Right. Now, I want to spend one more minute here as all of this breaks out to your assessed value. So I mentioned a moment ago, or a few moments ago, that the town as a whole saw a valuation increase of 1.67%, or 1.68%, excuse me. What that means is when the town's value goes from $10 billion to $10,168 million or $168,000, whatever the numbers are, what happens is these rates actually come down because we don't get to collect more taxes for it. We just have to re-change the rates to now be part of the higher numerator,
That's
same
correct.
denominator. The issue can become, and this is a very common question I know Judy gets in the office, is that if your neighborhood or your home's value increased more than the average in the town. So say the town went up 1.68%, but your neighborhood is red hot with sales, and you see that across the street, they put a house for sale and it sells in a week and they get asking price. What'll ultimately happen is if you see a 5% increase in your home's value from last year, that can have an increase in terms of your tax bill going up because you're always going to multiply by the total tax rate based on your total assessed value.
That's correct.
On the flip side, if you're one of the neighborhoods who may not be seeing such a high real estate turnover or increased value, what you would wind up seeing potentially is maybe it's lower than 1.68%, maybe it's flat, maybe it's down 2% over last year. That would show a decrease in your tax bill without any of these numbers changing because you're going to multiply the value by the tax rate divided by 100.
That's correct.
So very important to know because some people say, hey, I got a tax bill, your letter says taxes went down, but mine went up. The taxes didn't go up, your assessed value of what your home is worth may have gone up.
That's correct. And that is all part of this pilot program where we are reassessing every year.
Yes. And if you don't believe that your home is worth what the assessment is, there is a process, right, Judy, that you can do what's called an appeal, or you should first call the tax assessor's office and talk to the tax assessor's office. And
that's correct. You're going to be receiving a card from the assessor's office, I believe somewhere around November. And that will let you know what your assessed value has been determined for the following year, which would be 2019. If you think that that assessment is too high, you would need to contact the assessor's office. I believe you can go online at the county and get the appeal forms from them, but you can certainly call the assessor's office and see what that process is and what information you need to provide in order to go with the appeal process.
so let's move on to the rest of the bill. So as we get through this, you'll see information for taxpayers. So this is many people have their bills paid through their mortgage company. And if that's the case, you're going to see something printed across the tax bill that's going to say advice copy. Right?
Correct.
It's just
you can barely see it right here,
Yes.
but it also is shown on each of the 4 stubs.
right. So you'll see advice copy. If you do not have a mortgage or you pay off your mortgage, that means you have to pay the taxes directly to the township tax collector. And here's the address. You can also pay online, right? So that's the information for the taxpayers, and we're going to show you the reverse side here, but here are some deadlines, okay, for your mortgage company gets, and that you will also get as to when taxes need to be paid without paying interest.
That's correct.
Right.
These are all the last day by 4 p.m. to pay taxes without additional interest being charged.
Right. So this is information, just general information for taxpayers. On the right side over here, you see your 2019 preliminary tax. That one's very, I wouldn't really, that's a number that's just not very valid.
It's just really the basic, it's the two prelim numbers added together.
Right, but you still have to, this is what you're going to see in the first and second quarter. We still have to have budgets for all these entities for the third and fourth quarter.
That's correct.
So that's just adding these two lines. The distribution of taxes, this is very important. So you'll see that about 13% of your tax bill goes to the county to run county programs and county government. That includes the county open space tax.
That's
so
correct.
County parks in Middletown like Thompson Park and Deep Cut Park and Tatum Park, all part of that, as well as county roads and maintenance and bridges and things of that nature. Below is the school taxes. So schools make up about 62.25% of our total tax bill. So based on what their budget looks like, has the greatest impact on your tax bill because it is the largest percentage that we have to collect to send directly to the schools.
That's correct.
So about 62.25%. Your municipal taxes are about 25% of your tax bill. So when you do the breakout and you look at your total tax bill, you'll see how much are going to schools, how much is going to municipal. So on this tax bill for the average taxpayer is about $9,000. $2,000 goes to the township government to do the governmental services that we mentioned and you see in your tax letter. $5,006, about $5,700 to the schools, the rest to the county and others. The municipal tax also includes in this graph the library and municipal open space. Right. So moving right along, these are what are called your payment stubs if you make a payment, if you're going directly, right, Judy?
That's correct. If you're many people that are paying their own, they do mail their payments in, they detach the stub and mail their check to the tax office at the address above, and we then process your payments. If you have your mortgage company paying the taxes, this is for informational purposes for you so that you know what the banks will be paying on your behalf. The banks then send us the information, and now with technology, most of this information is transmitted electronically, so it is a very upstream process.
So these are your 4-quarter things. And one thing to note is a bank code. So if you see a bank code in there, that is the code that your bank is getting the bill directly, and every bank has a code. If you don't have a bank code, that means that you're either paying your taxes directly. There's no bank
That's
involved. Correct.
And mid-year, we don't know when people are going to be paying off their mortgages and satisfying those. What you need to do is remember, just use this advice copy, and that still is the amount that you will owe for taxes. So it's a good idea to look at this, just bring this in, and it gives you the information of what you will owe that next quarter.
Absolutely. So this is the other tax bill here. So you'll see it's the same principles on both sides of the town. Back of your tax bill. So Judy, why don't you give some information about the back of the tax bill?
When you come in to have your taxes paid, if you need a receipt that you'd like a receipt on your bill, you can see that we have all the different boxes provided, and when we print the receipt, it will show in those different boxes for those particular quarters. For information, it gives you the information on the appeals and what you have to do in the time period with which you have to do it. We have the number for the assessor in case you do have a question on your assessed value. Payments, it lets you know when payments are due. As we said, it says for the first 10 days is usually the grace period. However, you will notice for this year, our grace period for the August quarter only is extended to August 22nd. We also have delinquencies. It gives you the amount of the delinquency interest that is charged, and it also gives you the due dates and when all the payments are due. In New Jersey, all tax payments are due February, May, August, and November. That's for every municipality in the state of New Jersey. We also have, it also lets you know that in the Township of Middletown, we do hold an accelerated tax sale. So any municipal charges, sewer or delinquent taxes that are unpaid as of November 11th or the day of the grace period, after that date, they become delinquent and they are subject to tax sale. We have our preliminary and final. It gives you the idea and gives you the information on how that's calculated for your preliminary taxes. We take the current year taxes, divide it by 2, and then divide it by 2 again to get your preliminary tax amount. Receipts, we do request that you bring your bill so that we can receipt the back of your bill if you require it. Otherwise, your check will act as your receipt. If you are selling your home, we recommend that you give the new owners the tax bill that you have for this going forward, because they are new owners and they don't always know to call us or to let us know that they're the new owners and we want to get them. They do sometimes get delinquent notices, and it just clears up a lot of problems for new homeowners. Tax deductions, there are several tax deductions with the township through the state. One is a senior citizen disabled allowance deduction, and we have the veterans deduction. Come into the office, we'll be happy to give you an application, and we can see if you are allowed to have that deduction. Then we have here the building department we're required to have on our bill the flood insurance. It tells you information regarding flood insurance, why you need it, and how to get it. That's really pretty much basically it for the information, but there is a lot of information that you can find on the back of your bill.
So in closing, this is your tax bill in depth. So for 2018's purposes, for budgetary purposes, what you will see in your tax bill is that the municipal tax rate was flat. So the municipal taxes should not have risen. You should see that as a flat rate. I believe it actually decreased a little bit from last year. It went down, it was about 2 cents or so. About that, yes, it did. So there'll be a little bit of variations with whether you had garbage or not collected, but from a municipal rate, you'll see in the explanation letter, municipal taxes, actually the rate decreased. The school taxes also decreased slightly this year, I believe. Yes, they did. So you'll see that rate is reduced slightly. What you just may see in terms of an impact to your tax bill, of an increased impact, would be 2 things, right? It would be the potential for the county open space tax, which ultimately doubled. So look at that line item from last year in comparison. And also make sure you look at your assessed value. It's very important to see how your assessed value from 2017 potentially impacted your tax bill for 2018. And if you have questions about that, we welcome you to call the tax assessor's office, correct?
That's
correct. And make an appointment.
You can always give us a call. We're happy to describe anything and give you the information you may need with regard to your tax bill, when payments were made, how they were made. We do try to keep track and give that information out to you. One of the best things that we have is being able to pay your taxes online, which is going to the Middletown website. So you can go on, you can pay online. It's a very easy process, and we get that right away. It's shown on your bill, and it's a very convenient way. And more what we're finding is many more people are using that to pay their taxes. It's a very quick way to pay and not have to write a check or come in or mail. It's very convenient for our taxpayers.
Judy, what phone number can residents dial in terms of if they have questions either for you as the tax assessor or for the tax collector, excuse me, or the tax assessor? Is there a general number that they can call for questions?
Surely. The tax collection number is 732-615-2086. Our tax assessor's number is 732-615-2089.
Thank you. Well, we hope you get a better understanding of your tax bill. As always, if you have questions, you can always email any of us on the Township Committee or the Mayor's office or Judy's office or the Finance office. But we really appreciate you watching this video and hope that you have a better understanding of your tax dollars at work.
And we are happy to help you. Thank you.